Good afternoon from Boesen the Florist. I'm Tom Boesen, and today I'm talking to you from the Boesen Greenhouse and Flower Shop at 3422 Beaver Avenue, and to talk a little bit about the history of Boesen the Florist and how it began. I'm a member of the third generation of the Boesen family, and the present owner of Boesen the Florist along with my brother Frank. But this business has a long heritage well before that. My grandmother was in the flower business in Evanston, Illinois, for a flower shop called Weiland's Flowers. And a gentleman called Ted Boesen walked into the Weiland flower shop to send flowers to someone and fell in love with the clerk, Betty Weiland, who later became Betty Boesen. She had the flower background, and my grandfather had the will to learn the flower business. They answered an ad, which is sitting on my desk, and this ad was in the Florist Review in 1923. And they answered this ad, and on their honeymoon, they came to Des Moines, Iowa to look at these greenhouses. At the time, it was Beaver Avenue Floral, and they got out here from the train station, and by the way, when they got off the train station, they couldn't believe all the hustle and bustle and the activity there was, and they said, Des Moines is really a well-kept secret. I can't believe there's so much traffic here. Well, they got out to the Beaver Avenue Florist and basically fell in love with the place. Lush green green yards, greenhouses in very good shape, and they decided this is where we want to settle. They wired back and decided to buy this location. They went back to Evanston to pick up all of their belongings and came back in mid-September. Now when they got off the train in mid-September, they get off and they find no one at the train station. And much to their dismay, they found out the first time they came during the Iowa State Fair. So it wasn't quite as grandiose as they thought it would be. They had to roll up their sleeve and do a lot of hard work to make this work. They thought that there was basically a lot more people and bigger demand than there was. But my grandfather learned at a very young age with the determination, giving good customer service, that he could survive and do things right. In fact, back then, when he found out Des Moines wasn't big enough for the number of flower shops in town, he went up and down the areas where the train ran and became acquainted with all the undertakers and asked for their business. So they started calling him, and he was making their funeral arrangements. He took them down to the train station down on Court Avenue, and then would call the undertakers and said, your flowers should be there in X amount of time, and they went down and picked up their flowers. And my grandfather really became quite known for creating a bigger delivery area than most could ever imagine. But once again, from those humble beginnings is where we started. And he had 8 children and 5 boys, and all 5 of Ted and Betty's children went into the flower business. And at that time, just so they could expand, we were one of the first flower shops in the country with multi-store locations. And they did this to give each one of the brothers a chance to go into the flower business, but he did it in a way that they competed against each other. And they were some hard-working Germans, and they all wanted to beat each other. And they learned at a very young age that it took good customer service, having a good product at a good price, that they could survive. And they all did such a good job because, quite frankly, they wanted to beat their brother. Today, the third generation is in control of running the business, and it's Tom and Frank Boesen. And all of the things we learned from my grandfather and my uncles is still there today. We know all the P's of retailing. You have the right product with the right price, the right people, the proper promotion, that you have a chance of selling flowers. And every day we wake up lining all of our P's up. And we know that we have the right product. It's one of God's most beautiful creations. As far as the price goes, we understand the economy, and boy, do we strive at that every day to have a price to make sure flowers are affordable. Being in the right place does not just mean having the right physical locations, but being on the right place on the website. And right now, into whether it's your telephone, your e-commerce, any way that we can get there is important to us, and proper promotion. Once again, whether it's putting an ad in the telephone book or the newspaper or an ad on the television, or once again, this is promotion as well. telling you about us and all the things that we can do for that. So thanks for taking a minute to listen to the Boesen history story. I hope you find it interesting. Since 1923, we've been the #1 flower shop here in Des Moines, and certainly plan on staying there. And with your help and support and your business, I'm sure that we can say that. I certainly encourage any questions. I appreciate all the people that follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all the different medias. And basically, I'd like to thank all the people that have supported Boesen's for over 85 years. Thank you.